If a home is priced right, there should be less room to negotiate. There shouldn't be much of that conversation. Hi, my name is Bobby Auerbach. I'm a real estate broker here with Compass in South Florida, and today we're going to cover the selling process. When somebody's selling a house for the first time, there's a lot of things that come up that they're not familiar with or don't have contacts. This is a stressful process. It's the biggest asset that they have, more times than not, and they haven't sold or bought a house in a long time. So I think it's important for me as an agent to help guide them, help be a resource, provide them with contacts that they may need throughout this process. I try to treat my clients like I would want to be treated. The problem is when you have inflated prices and you get a low offer in a seller's mindset, then that counter offer may not be far off of the list price and you may not be able to bridge that gap. I mean, a perfect example would be right now I have a spectacular oceanfront property in Hollywood Beach that's listed for $3.3 million. And I got a $3 million offer this past week that was cash. Relatively good offer. It wasn't great for my seller because they want $3.3 million. But the market right now isn't bearing those numbers, and this is the best offer that we have out there. So my client came back with a small counter offer, and I can't get those buyers up. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now in this market, is sellers still think the market is as strong as it was a year ago, and you have buyers that are starting to think that the market has turned and it's more in their favor. Figuring out a way to bridge that gap has been the challenge for me for the last couple months. I'm hired by the seller, so my job is to try to get them the highest price possible. Ultimately, I want to do that becomes a vehicle for me to get future business in that community. They see that I'm pushing the envelope, trying to get the highest price possible. That says a lot, but at the same point, if the market doesn't bear the price that the seller wants right now, they may not get the results that they're looking for. I think when the seller is ready to move forward on a contract, there's a variety of different things that they should be aware of. When the roof was replaced, have they had any leaks? Did they have any insurance claims on the property? Those are all important things to let your listing agent know, because the buyer and the buyer's agent are going to find those things out. These are all public information. So you might as well be forthright up front. Also, when you're doing the seller's property disclosure, to make sure that you fill those things out properly. That way there's no questions, hey, you said this and it was really this. Everything is kind of all laid out. Fixtures are included in the sale, appliances, blinds, all those type of things that you may or may not be aware of are included in that purchase. So make sure that you read what is included in the contract prior to signing it, because when we do the walkthrough with the buyer, there are expectations that they're going to want to see the things that were included in that sale at that time. So going through the house, making sure you as a seller understand what's included in the sale is crucial. And there's things that you're not going to want in there. Those are things that are important to point out to your listing agent, so that when they're showing it to buyers, that they explain to those buyers that these certain items are not included in that purchase. As a homeowner, I think there's important timelines that you need to be familiar with in this home sale process. Number one would be inspection. A buyer is entitled to have the home inspected thoroughly, which could be roof, it could be mold, general inspection, pool, and they have the ability to do that during a certain period of time. And during that time, the deal is fully refundable, or is a non-binding deal until they've passed that inspection hurdle, if it's a cash purchase. If a buyer is getting a mortgage, which a majority of the home buyers are, you have the appraisal process, which is another aspect. The appraisal is obviously taking into consideration market data, which are things that we as agents, when we go and meet with sellers, discuss the first day we come in there, so that they understand and have realistic expectations as far as what they're going to sell their home for. And then you also have the insurance aspect. So the biggest challenges that we're having right now is 20-year-old homes is getting the insurance. You can't get insurance, you can't get financing. You can't get financing, you can't close on a house. So these are all things that we're talking about right now, is making sure that prior to selling your home, that you may want to have the home inspected to address any issues that you may have with the roof. Because if we go through this home buying process and they've had the home inspected, they've had it appraised, and now we're at the part of having the insurance done, you want to make sure that there's life left on that roof, because if there's not, we've got a big problem. Decide to put a new roof on the house, which unfortunately you as a homebuyer who's selling it aren't going to enjoy the longevity of that roof, but it makes it more sellable to the homebuyer that's coming in. Or you can structure a deal where the buyer is going to contribute a certain portion of that new roof, or the buyer may have the ability to deal with their insurance company where they write a letter that they're going to have the roof replaced within 90 days of closing on the house, in which point they may insure them. It'll be a higher premium, but they'll get insurance, which will allow the closing to take place. Not everybody's familiar with the home selling process, so there's a couple of things that you should be familiar with. Number one is real estate commissions. You also have property taxes. Property taxes are paid in arrears at the end of the year. So if you're selling your house in the middle of the year, the new buyer is responsible for that tax bill. So you'll be giving a credit to that buyer at the closing table for the months or the days that you've been in there from January 1st until the day of closing. But you also have a property transfer tax, and that's the sale price divided by 100 times 0.7. So contingencies are all based on market conditions and demand. You know, if you're in a market where there's a ton of demand and you're getting a lot of offers on properties, it's highly unlikely that a buyer is going to get a contingency on a property that they're trying to purchase because there's too much demand there. I think the market has changed a little bit where you may be in an opportunity where you can have a contingent on the sale of your home, but those sellers on that property are going to want to make sure that your home is already on the market, and more times than not is already under contract. Because the second you go under contract on their property, they have no opportunity to get out of it. You're basically the buyer in control of those things, so they're at your mercy. They want to make sure that they have a solid buyer before they go under contract. Otherwise, they've essentially taken it off the market for 15, 30 days, however long your contingency is. If I'm representing the seller, these are real conversations that I'm having with my client. Do you really want to take a contingency right now when we have a good amount of demand? We may not have all the offers that you're looking for, but I'm confident those are coming in. I would say in that situation, you probably don't want to take that contingency buyer on your property because we're probably going to get a good offer sooner than later, and you don't want to be on the hook for that.